To start, mark off about 25 meters down and back from your start point all the way back to your finish point. Start yourselves with a general jog, just getting some blood flowing. From there, we'll move into a back pedal. Notice as I check over both shoulders so I'm getting some neck rotation and upper back movement. From there, we're going to move into a lateral shuffle. Points of performance here are to have a good arm swing and not allowing our heels or feet to click together. In order to make this a little more difficult and dynamic, you can lower your center of gravity into more of an athletic position and move faster. From there, we're going to go into our rotational movement, karaokas. Here I'm focusing on a heavy knee drive with a large rotation of my upper torso to help improve and speed up that movement. Now we're going to add in some hip swings, or as we know, hip openers. This is a crucial movement for young athletes to make sure that their hips are active long before they start throwing. We want to make sure that the bottom foot is planted and pointing straight forward for every single repetition. We don't want to feel the bottom foot slide out or spin out as we rotate the leg outward. If you notice on the way back, every time my toe lands, it's pointing directly straight at the camera. No matter what direction I move side to side or straight forward, my planning mechanics are the same. From there, we're going to move into our hip closers or our step overs. So now we're working the hips from an external to internal position. Notice I'm working to step across my midline. That just means the center of my body. So I'm working on a nice little crossover, pretending as if I'm stepping over a barbed wire fence, and making sure I'm driving the knee nice and high and rotating and finishing through my hips. Next, we're going to work through a series of kicking exercises. First, we're going to work to stretch the hamstring. So I'm going to kick straight forward. I'm feeling a nice stretch underneath the back of my leg and making sure that I keep my bottom foot nice and planted. My posture is standing upright and trying not to hunch over as I kick. We want to feel a big stretch underneath that leg with every kick. Notice my toes are pointing straight towards the ceiling on every repetition. The next exercise are kickbacks. I should still feel the stretch in my hamstring on my planted leg. The goal of this exercise is to try to keep your hips square to the ground and to keep your toe pointing down. Some of you may know these as teeter-totters, but it's an effective way to work on balance and also some of that dynamic hamstring mobility. I'm now going to start to work through some lateral kicks. I will start to not only activate my glutes in a kicking motion again, but also feeling a nice eccentric or stretch position through the groin muscles or adductors. This will typically be one of the more tighter positions that your athletes will go through, so they don't need to be very big ranges of motion. Our compensations and avoidance patterns for this are going to be a large side bend as I kick, or I'm going to point my toes up at the ceiling. Try to keep the toes pointed forward through as many reps as you can. From there, we're going to work on turning on some more fast twitch muscles. We're going to start with some general butt kickers. We want to make sure that we're driving our heel to our butt and making sure that our arms are pumping so that we're mimicking that running motion. This is to activate the hamstrings and more of the flex than the stretch that we just went through with our kicks. From there, we're going to move into our high knees. Our goal here should be to be pumping our arms, driving our knees, and pointing our toes up towards the ceiling through every repetition. We want to mimic the perfect running formation in order to get the most effectiveness out of this exercise. For our last exercise, this is a reaction drill with either a rep count of 10 or based off the coach's clap to mimic the noise of a ball hitting the bat. The athletes will jump forward and back, and upon either hitting that rep count or hearing the noise from the coach, they'll take off into a half to 3/4 speed run. We'll start with a forward and back jump, eventually moving into our side to side. When you hear that clap, athletes will take off in that 3/4 run. The goal is the speed of the reaction from each athlete based off the noise made or repetition count hit. We'll then finish with rotation, completing our 3 planes of motion: forward and back, side to side, and rotation.